I'm Jason Brown, and welcome to our new television show, Bridging the Divide. It's dedicated to fostering civil discourse and understanding in today's often polarized landscape. Our show's central premise is to provide a structured debate format, bringing together a conservative and a liberal viewpoint to discuss current events at the community, state, and national levels. Each episode of Bridging the Divide will feature in-depth discussions where ideological, sometimes possibly opposed hosts share their perspectives on a wide range of topics, from breaking news and political developments to social issues impacting our lives. The show aims to move beyond superficial talking points, encouraging a genuine exchange of ideas and arguments. Definitely probably some arguments. While the host will engage sometimes in spirited debates, the overreaching goal of Bridging the Divide is to identify common ground where possible. Even when an agreement isn't reached, the show is committed to modeling respectful disagreement, demonstrating how individuals with different political beliefs can engage with dignity and mutual respect as fellow Americans. Bridging the Divide seeks to be a platform where both sides of critical issues are presented clearly, fostering a more informed and public understanding. Now it's time to meet our host. We have Stacey Powles. She is going to represent our liberal viewpoint, and Josh Nicholson is our conservative viewpoint. Stacey, let's start with you, especially with today's topic. We will women first.
Thank you, Jason.
Briefly share with the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in California to two major Republicans, and brought up in California, brought up in Southern California. Came to the Eastern Sierra since the 60s. Went to school at Humboldt State University. A very liberal arts school, except for the forestry and geology. And I ended up here, living here in 1992, moved out in 98, came back in 2004, ended up working on the radio, KMMT and KRHV radio, ended up being a full-time staff writer for the Mammoth Times for several years, and did a lot of media around town. And now I'm kind of doing my own thing, doing my own writing. I've published a book, and I have been published in several books. And as you know, I've been doing Slightly Filtered with you now for a couple of years. And I'm excited to see where this show takes us, because I have no idea who this person is.
I know they guys have not met yet. Till just now.
I don't know anything about them.
They've only been in the same room for about 10 minutes or so. Yeah. Josh, share with us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm Josh Nicholson. I guess I'm kind of second generation Bishop. I wasn't born here, but my folks moved here when I was 10. So I spent the almost half of my childhood growing up in Bishop, I guess the influential years. Went into service for about 7 years. And then when my wife and I had our first, after my last deployment, we wanted to move home and raise our children, and worked for the Sheriff's Department for 10 years. And now I'm with Edison. And then my public service has been primarily on the school board of Bishop Unified School District. Primarily a dad of 3, a husband of 19 years, and minus the 10 years I left for service in college. Been here since 92.
Wow. Wonderful. Well, we've chosen 2 topics for today. One was, it was basically mutually accepted.
Basically. Jason's like, hey, there's this guy Josh, and he wants to do this show, and I want to do this show, and you need to be the liberal, and you guys need to talk and try not to get into a fight on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, we've chosen 2 subjects, and one is transgender rights and what is currently happening in our society and government towards transgender groups. That was one of your concerns. So we will give the platform to you to start, and we'll see what Josh has to say about what you have to say.
Right. So start this with, I have a lot of LGBTQI people in my family, a lot of LGBTQI friends, a lot of them who own businesses here in the Eastern Sierra. And I'm very much an ally for the LGBTQI community. My son, as you know, was born gay. I have a lot of friends who are trans. They are wonderful people. And I have another son who he's straight. cisgender, and he asked me about a year ago, he goes, why are the LGBTQ always in our faces about everything, about our rights and this? And I said, because I said, nobody leaves them alone. I said, if you just give them the same rights, the same health care as everybody else, then they don't have to be so loud. They don't have to constantly be protecting their community because they are being attacked over and over again. Right now, as we speak, I looked this up, there are over, in the United States alone, there are, according to the ACLU, 598 anti-LGBTQ bills in the US. Now, there are no anti-straight people bills in the US, only anti-LGBTQ bills. Why that? Why does the government have to focus on them? Why can't the government and certain people who don't believe in that kind of lifestyle just leave them alone? And I don't mean lifestyle because it's not a lifestyle, it's not a choice. I will never know what it's like to be born gay because I was born straight. But I saw my son, he was hands down born gay. From the minute he started walking, I knew he was going to be gay because he was way different from his brother. I'm never going to know what it's like to grow up feeling like I'm in this female body, but I really feel inside that I'm a man. I'm not going to ever know what it's like to be born a man and really feel like that I should be born a woman. I don't know what that feels like. Only those people can tell us. I have a friend, a good friend up in Mammoth, who if he could do the gender affirming care, he's in his 40s now, if he could afford it, he would do it. He would be so much happier, he said, but he can't afford it. But he always felt that he should have been born a female. And chromosomally, did I say that right? Chromosomally, there are signs.
Works for us. I think everybody understands.
There is scientific proof that when we are born, our chromosomes can be so many different things. Our chromosomes can go crazy, and I can pull. Actually, I should have pulled that up, and I'm going to look for it while you're talking. But
so you're not going to pay attention to him?
No, I have to pay attention. I can multitask.
I'm going to get debated.
I can multitask, but
He's listening to you. You listen to him.
I will listen to him.
We'll say that's
I do think it's important to understand that how we are born is based on our chromosomes. And you, Josh, have the chromosomes of a straight man. I happen to have the chromosomes of a straight female, but there are people whose chromosomes don't match ours. So I will look that up, but I want to listen to you because Jason just gave me this smackdown.
What smackdown?
Well, I'll start with one of the biggest differences between men and women is mentally. You can multitask, look something up while listening to me, which I'm probably not that capable of.
Yeah.
As much without training.
I'm going to do this while I'm listening to you, but then I can't see the thing I'm going to be looking for. But go ahead.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I would start with what rights are the trans or LGBTQ folks what rights are being either stripped or taken or attacked?
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
Okay. Their right to health care.
I guess we should define that. What's a right to health care? I mean, are we talking about taxpayer funded?
I don't know. I would say both. I mean, if a trans woman wants, you're talking about gender affirming care?
See, that's the thing is we'll have different definitions of gender affirming. Okay. I'll give you mine. When I say gender affirming, what I'm saying is when a child is born as a boy or girl, we build them up and affirm them and how God created them. Because I believe that we're created in the likeness and image of God. We fall short of his glory as sinners. That's where I stand. So when we talk about gender affirming care, I think I understand your position on it. You can elaborate, but mine would be that we're affirming them in how they were born because in the way God created them, they were born perfect.
So you're talking from a religious aspect. But
yes, but also
if we're talking about
scientifically.
If we're talking about God loves all his children,
Agreed.
No matter how they are born.
Agreed.
All his children. Okay. So if, like I said, if chromosomally somebody was born looking like a male, but inside they're growing up thinking this body is just not right, God's still going to love that person, no matter what.
I agree with you that he's going to love that person. However, he created them perfectly, so they don't need to change their how they were physically born.
And that is your opinion.
Right.
Right.
So there's definitely be stuff that I agree with you that God loves everyone. But we'll differ on I guess how they were born and how they can.
Yeah, you can see me looking at this.
I guess my interjection would be to bring it back to a United States of America perspective. We have the freedom to choose different things, whether they're right or they're wrong. And an 18-year-old who decides they want to be something else, they have, I would believe, that freedom, whether we agree with it or not,
Right.
to be what they want to be. I think the important subject to just bring us back in, what you're talking about, I think your perspective on gender affirming care is if I'm interpreting it, would be like our taxpayer dollars being used to fund their transition type of.
Yeah, so that would be
and
one.
And that would be something. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Absolutely.
Am I guiding us back to the
now
right?
now we're talking about insurance.
Well, and
What
I'd
will
also
insurance cover?
I'd also like to differentiate between this care, medical or otherwise, for either minors or adults, because I'm right with you on everything about the freedom. Once you become an adult, unless you're hurting or affecting others in a negative way, then you have the freedom.
Live your life
Yeah,
in America.
Yeah. If you want to change your sex, if you whatever the case is, cross dress, it's a free country, and I absolutely serve for that and support it. Then when we get to minors, though, I think that's a whole different discussion. So do you want to bring it back then to medical and covering that?
Well, I think that was the bill that you were talking about.
Well, that's an insurance thing, because if a person who's transgender has insurance that covers the gender affirming care or whatever, then the insurance company is going to pay for it.
Right.
My tax dollars aren't going to pay for it.
Okay, but what I guess what I'm trying to come back to is you were talking about that there was some bills on the floor, and you said one of them was healthcare.
Right. Yeah. So coming back full
correct,
circle, what we
Stacey?
talked about was what
I guess I'm
what
just
rights.
trying to bring out your point, what that was.
I'm not a transgender person, as you know. So
I know this is a difficult subject.
Yeah,
because
it is, because
none of us are transgender.
I do know somebody who lives in the Eastern Sierra. I knew this person when this person was a girl.
Okay.
And as a female, they had so many mental health problems and couldn't function. And just one thing after another, 5150. I mean, so many things. And then this person realized that the problem was all along that she never felt comfortable being a she. She always felt deep down that she was a he. And because of the stigmatism, is that right? Stigmatism in the whatever, in the family, in society, in living in small communities, because we're a very small community here in the Eastern Sierra, she was terrified to come out and talk about what she really wanted to do. Well, she is now he, and he is happier than I've ever seen him. He's a business owner. He's got a fabulous partner. The gender affirming care that he's had and is having was paid for by the insurance that he has. Everybody has been supportive around, because the fear that they had to tell the people who loved them was in the head. I mean, the most dangerous 6 inches in the world is the 6 inches between our ears. It can mess us up so bad. And for them, it was just horrendous. I think 2 years. And that's when a lot of the mental health issues really started showing their ugly face. But when they realized what the issue was, then they had the support of their community. The insurance paid for everything. Some of the things the insurance didn't pay for, and their family paid for it. Very happy.
But I'm just bringing it back to the comment, though. We were talking about the legislature that's on the floor. How is that affecting their health care?
Or just that person in general. I'd like to know that example you brought up.
I haven't asked them how it's affecting them. I haven't asked them. I would like to have them on a guest, maybe on our other show.
Yeah.
To ask them that.
Because this is all about education.
Yeah, it's totally about education, and that's the I'm screwing here because I want to get that chromosome list because I know it's here. I have it here. Yay me. Okay. You want me to read this?
Sure.
Okay. I'm also going to take a screenshot of it. Okay. It's a scientific fact that humans come in two varieties, XX for female, XY for male. You can be born appearing female, but have 5 alpha reductase deficiency and grow a penis at age 12. Okay. You can be born legally male with an X and a Y chromosome, but your body is insensitive to androgens and you appear female. This is science. I'm not making this up. You can be born legally male with an X and Y chromosome and have a penis and testes and a uterus and fallopian tubes. Now, this is a chromosome thing. You can be born legally male with an X and a Y chromosome, but your chromosome is missing the SRY gene, which gives you a female body. You can be born legally female with 2 X chromosomes. But one of the X's has an SRY gene, which gives you the male body. So this is what we're talking about, okay? You can be born legally female with 2 X chromosomes and also a Y chromosome, which gives you the male body. You can be born legally female with 2 X chromosomes, but your adrenal gland doesn't produce enough cortisol and your body develops as male. You can be born with 2 X chromosomes and XY chromosomes, and that's called chimerism. So scientifically based, this is how the trans community comes about, because scientifically based, their chromosomes weren't born like yours, like mine, like yours. So the next time you attempt to use science as a justification for your bigotry, is what it says here, remember that God created humans in many variations and maybe stop trying to stuff everyone into the male-female checkboxes, because scientifically, our chromosomes could have gone wackadoodle.
This show is about you guys, but it is interesting that you brought that up, because I remember going to my mom with her to National University in the 80s. I was a teenager at the time, and the discussion that they were talking about was whether it was morally, ethically for the doctor to choose, because they were born with both a vagina and a penis, which one they chose the sex to be. Because at that time, they would actually make the decision and make you that sex. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's all chromosome based. It has nothing to do with...
But that's back way before any of this existed. And it was talking about the moral and ethical decisions that doctors had to make to choose what sex you were going to be when you were born with both.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Josh.
Now, have you ever heard that before, Josh?
I have not.
Do you want me to text it to you after we're done here?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll read it. Who wrote it?
You know what? I'll have to get that, because this isn't something that somebody made up on AI or anything. This is just science facts. It was on a science website. All I did was screenshot this part.
Okay.
So I totally forgot about that until you brought that up, and that was a scientific study that was done, and it was a moral and ethical question of what does the doctor choose when a person is born with both organs?
And it's up to the parents at that point. But let's just
say at that time they were talking to the doctor, so it was quite interesting.
Well, right now it's up to the parents. But let's say the parents choose, okay, we're going to raise this person as a girl. But when the person hits puberty, and they're realizing, I'm not feeling like a girl. That's when the question. That's an issue for the family then to decide, not the government, the family. I think the government should stay out of the family decisions. 100%.
You can agree there.
Yeah. So, as far as the laws, I mean, really anybody can Google transgender laws. I mean, I pulled up the anti-LGBTQ laws before we got here, and I had them up, defending the rights of individuals. Okay. So, like I said, there are 598 anti-LGBTQI bills in the U.S. That's heartbreaking that our United States feel they have to get involved in the rights of people who just want to live their lives.
Is it into adults though, or is it into protecting children?
I haven't
That's
read all the
what I
laws.
would be
I haven't,
curious.
honestly, I haven't.
Sorry
There's
to step in for you,
598.
Josh.
So,
No, I'd like to go back real quick to the study. I just have I have a question and then a statement. The question would be why actually a few questions. One, the first one I kind of asked, where was the study? Where's the study from? And then
Okay.
also the author. The statement I have is when the last paragraph you read, kind of I guess the whole reason this show is created, it mentioned something about bigotry. So right then and there you lose me because that word gets thrown at me often, and hate and all this other stuff, which just because I disagree with someone proves nothing as far as those adjectives being applied to me. And then the question I had is, what are those percentages of our population? The
science-based thing
yeah,
that okay.
meaning the hermaphrodite or these different chromosomes. I'm very curious how much.
Well, our assignment, should we choose to accept it and do this again, is that we will find out.
Yep.
We can look it up. It's easy to look up on the internet and call organizations, call the the major LGBTQ, ACLU organizations, the Human Rights Campaign, and ask them what percentages are born like this. I mean, that's a good question because I'd like to know.
Yeah.
But my
I'd
point,
like to know more about the bills that are in.
well, if you go to the ACLU website, it just tells you all the bills that are in it. It's 598 of them right now. So I just pulled it up before we got in the air, so I don't know what everyone is.
And would they label a bill anti? Let's say, I'm just pulling up out of the thing. If Oklahoma says we're gonna have a bill where boys use boys' bathrooms or men, and then the opposite, girls use girls' bathrooms, is that considered anti under ACLU?
Probably because there are dual gender bathrooms. I was traveling and I was in Georgia. I was in Atlanta, of all places, and the bathrooms were male, female, but they're closed off. They're like their own little rooms. You can't see anybody's feet. You can't see. I mean, they're literally closed off. You lock them. And I didn't care if there was a guy peeing next to me, because you can't see them. Everybody washes their hand the same place, but they're male, female. It didn't matter. And I think is it in California law where all bathrooms now have to be male, female? I mean, that little dress sign, a little pant sign, they have to both be on the doors now. I think, is it California law?
I'm not sure if it's
I think they have to have a general neutral bathroom, but it's a single use.
Yeah, I mean, like the airport in it, I think it was Atlanta had a single. I've been traveling so much, maybe it was Miami, I'm not sure, but they had the bathrooms are single use, but they're all in one area, and you can't get up and look over somebody or under somebody. It was pretty well protected especially when you lock that door. So I as a female who sometimes I'm on the road. Okay, here's a perfect example. Do you remember when the Roadhouse Cafe down in Olancha was down there for years and years and years? So my kids, I don't know, they were like 8 and 9. And we were driving up from LA, coming back home. And I had to use the bathroom really bad. So I'd go in there and somebody was in the female bathroom and the kids were with me. And I'm like, I just went to the male bathroom. My kids, you would think that I was caught smoking marijuana, in the middle of the highway. They freaked out. Even my gay son, he freaked out. He was, a little kid. How could you do that? I said, because I had to pee. But it says that little sign was there that said male. I'm like, I had to pee. I said, I don't care about that. I don't care if a guy has to pee and he has to use a women's bathroom. I don't care, or whatever. So for me growing up, the separation that these laws, this is the transgender issues are very divided. It is one of the things that have divided our country. I mean, I do not believe anymore that this is the United States of America. There's nothing united about this country, really, that I can see with regards to transgender rights. I mean, that's all. I will find out. I'll text this to you. I'll text it to Jason. We can all find out where this was written, the science-based thing, because I'll find it. You just scan it in Google, right? And they'll tell you where it came from. Yeah.
And then coming back to the bills, I would ask, what defines anti? I can't remember the number you said.
598.
500.
Well, do you want me to pull up a bill? I mean, do we have time for that?
Sure.
I mean, I can pull up which state?
I'm at the point of it that it might behoove us to readdress this subject.
Well,
when
here
we're
we go.
more
Alabama has one called Redefinition of Sex. That's an Alabama bill. It just gives you a little title of them, or do you want me to just pull up the California bills because that's where we're at? I mean, I can do that.
I don't know what bills in California are going to be
Okay,
anti.
so
But
I know.
just See if there's
All
any.
right, here's one. California. How come I hit California and jump down to Idaho?
It's because there are none in California,
Yeah, there are. SB 311, AB 579, AB 600. Those are all.
What's the title of one of them?
Other anti-LGBTQ bills. All right, so I'm pressing it. Okay. Okay, this is AB 600, pupil instruction, transgender concepts, opt out. So the bill analysis is right here. So it's going to be a whole thing. I don't want to take up our time reading all this kind of stuff.
Well, just based on that, I'll throw an assumption out. It's probably an opt out somewhere in education in the curriculum, right? So,
where they don't want people to talk about transgenders?
Well, not so much that you can't talk about it versus if a parent doesn't want their student, their child,
to learn about it?
Yeah, to be involved in that, they can opt out. Just like sex ed or really anything that's age appropriate or situation appropriate.
Okay.
So that would be my guess. I have not read that bill.
Well, that's what it was when I was in high school. You had the option to opt out if you didn't want your child to be in sex ed.
Yeah.
So
I wish my parents opted me out of that. It's a long story. Very inappropriate teacher. But that's
well, I think this is something that we definitely need to look up and come back and look on in deeper depth.
I would also like to have a transgender person here.
That would be quite interesting.
You know, because I can't speak for them.
Right.
I mean, I think the person who I know, I think they definitely would like to be a guest. Yeah.
With us.
And I just want to comment. I said this in my school board meeting because, like I said before, I get a lot of hate and stuff based on my stances, which is completely untrue. But those will continue to come regardless. I know and believe that what you research, what you say, comes from a place of support and love for the folks that you support and love, and it's the same for me. And we'll probably get into it, the Title IX stuff. The big thing for me right now as a dad, as a school board member, is protecting girls' sports. That's not
beating me to second question.
Perfect segue.
Yeah.
And so that's not.
Hold on. The second question is the state of California's defiance of Title IX. Okay, go ahead.
So to me, and that's not an anti anything. It's a support of girls' sports, the integrity of their sports, their changing areas, their locker rooms, and so forth. Versus has nothing to do with hate or even a misunderstanding. Frankly, it's just this. I thoroughly believe that there should not be boys in girls' sports and in their locker rooms and safe spaces, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So that
was deep.
If a person is born,
So it's interesting to me based on the chromosome thing you said earlier.
Right. Well, people who are born boys, even though they want a transgender, they are stronger. Just biologically, they're stronger. And I do not believe that if a male becomes a transgender female, she should be able to play in cisgender sports. I agree with that. Just because muscle-wise, there's, a person who was born male is going to be able to hit a baseball way further than a person who was born female. And a person who was born male is going to be able to hit a tennis ball harder and faster than a person who is just how it is.
Well, I'll say that.
Now, but a person who was born female and decides to be a trans man may be super smarter than the man.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
And can multitask down.
And can multitask.
I'll say it's very.
Dude, how can you multitask?
That's very bold of you and courageous to say because there's a lot of discontent and almost hate towards your own community and your circles when someone doesn't agree or go along with that. So I think that's a big deal for you to say that, especially in public. And
yeah, I mean, I feel that, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I feel that transgender, all the LGBTQI have equal rights, and when it comes to sports, there needs to be a line drawn because biologically, men and women are just different. How they were born, they're just different. That's just how it is.
So would you support a resolution such as the one I proposed?
I haven't read your resolution,
You
so
want
I
me to
don't.
read it for you?
Sure, go ahead and read it. I'm gonna take a sip of my water here because I'm getting dry mouth. And is this for all of Inyo County?
This would be for the Bishop Unified School District.
Okay.
It's
Well,
titled.
let me ask you first.
Yes.
How many trans individuals are in the Bishop Unified School District?
I couldn't give you a number. I don't know.
Because that would, I mean,
I have seen a few
that are in high school
that are in high school.
that have actually.
I know
been
there's some, but I couldn't.
gender affirming care and the whole
I-
thing.
I don't know if they're going through the gender affirming care, but they're identifying and definitely
Okay.
working in that direction. I know quite a few people in our community that are going through that process.
Right,
that
but I'm saying
work
if you're
within
bringing, I
the-
haven't read it, or you're going to read it, but if you're bringing up a proposal to pass for the Bishop Unified School District, and there's only 1 or 2 or 3 transgender women in the district,
Well, so one, as we get to know each other, you'll probably see that I'm a very proactive person. I don't like to wait till my house is on fire to prepare for that. I mean, so that's just it's similar for the school district. I don't think that we should have our own athletes playing on girls' sports, and then I don't think we should have our opponents be playing, against.
okay,
boys
what if
and
it's
girls'
co-ed?
sports. Well, that's a whole different expectation.
Okay,
I played co-ed softball. The girls know exactly what they're getting into.
okay, but if you're playing co-ed, okay, and one of the people on the opposite team is a transgender female, meaning she used to be a he, are you going to oppose that?
Ooh,
Not it.
Do.
So
It would
I guess it
be
depends on what
possible as a
rule you're
woman,
talking
yeah.
about. So,
But you have to have so many
Yes.
so many women playing on a team and so many men.
so if they're short women and you're counting him as one of the women, then no. I mean, I would disagree. I don't think that's okay.
You would think that's okay if a
No.
transgender female was one of the women? So transgender female, they used to be male. Transgender male, they used to be female. So if it's transgender female is on the opposite softball team because she's
As long as
female,
they don't count as one of the females playing, then
Well, then-
by all means they could play
who would they count
as one of the males.
But they're transgender.
Well, that's where we differ.
Still
This is the
bi-
definition.
Read your thing. I told Jason, I said, my heart starts going really fast sometimes, when I'm talking to somebody at the opposite end. Thank God I'm wearing my nitro patch right now. So my heart won't get out of it.
This is all good debate. It's all good education, and it'll bring us together to come back and
Jason,
be
you're so
more-
kumbaya.
so much more educated. We've
What? Yeah, I
already
mean,
learned that we need to learn more.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Exactly. I want to hear his proposal for the school board.
so it's just a resolution. So really, at the end of the day, it has no teeth, and it would be sent to the state and CIF. Those
Okay.
would be the recipients to go. So it's titled "Supporting Title IX and Fairness in Girls Interscholastic Sports." Whereas the Bishop Unified School District is dedicated to ensuring fairness, safety, and equal opportunities for all student athletes, and whereas Title IX of the Federal Education Amendments of 1972 was enacted to prohibit sex-based discrimination in any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance, ensuring that female athletes have equal opportunities to participate and succeed in sports. And whereas Title IX has played a vital role in expanding opportunities for female athletes, promoting fair competition, and increasing access to scholarships and other athletic advancements. And whereas biological differences between male and female athletes can create inherent advantages in competitive sports, particularly in categories designated specifically for girls. Whereas the California Interscholastic Federation, CIF, is responsible for governing interscholastic athletics and must ensure that policies align with the principles of fairness, safety, and equal opportunity as outlined in Title IX. And whereas protecting the integrity of girls' sports is crucial to maintaining a fair playing field for female athletes and preserving the original intent of Title IX. Now, therefore, be it resolved that BUSD strongly supports Title IX and calls upon the athletic governing bodies to uphold its protections by ensuring fairness and equal opportunities in girls' sports. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded to the governor, the state legislature, CDE, and CIF to demonstrate BUSD's commitment to safeguarding the interests of female student athletes. That's the body of it. So you would agree to that?
I agree that trans women should not be in female sports. I do agree with that.
Let's go back to the
Would you,
Title IX. Oh, go ahead.
Would you come to our meeting and support this?
I would come to the meeting and listen to everybody's opinions on it, and then from listening to everybody's opinions on it, I can't vote because I don't.
No, we get a lot of public comment from outside. I mean, one thing that the left is very good at is organizing and bringing people in from outside, and
so is the right.
I wish we're not we're not that good. I wish I could say that, but go ahead.
Well, I was just going to come back to your comment of talking about, do we have 2, 3 in the high school? And one of the things that I had read on Facebook, because I follow these things being in the news and I remain neutral on them just because of my position there. But one thing that I did see, somebody was on the attack and said, well, how many are actually involved in sports in Bishop? And the other comment was, it didn't matter how many were in Bishop. This comes back to Title IX in California. Mm-hmm. It's when they went to CIF championships, the woman, not in Bishop, but a woman lost to a male transgender at CIF. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so our girls that go to that for track at the best they could get in that field would have been second.
Mm-hmm. So that's where this becomes, when we're talking Title IX, and you both said that you agree on it, it's not so much as a local level. It's the state level where we may not have that issue here, but we don't just participate here. We leave and we go to a different community. And then now all of a sudden that is brought upon us because the state has said we're going to be in defiance to Title IX. How do you feel about that?
You bring up a really good point. The federal government has sued California's Department of Education. So
I believe they are actually.
Yeah, U.S. Department investigations launched early this year by the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights found both the State Education Department and the CIF in violation of Title IX, the federal law banning sex discrimination in schools that the Trump administration has said prohibits trans athletes from participating in girls' and women's sports. So he signed an executive order opposing male competition in women's sports. The California Department of Education and the CIF had until July 7 to sign a proposed resolution agreement with the OCR that would have required public schools across the state to kick transgender girls off girls' sports teams and strip them of their athletic titles and records. Okay, cisgender girls who competed against trans student athletes would have been sent a personal apology letter. So this is already at the court level.
Right.
This is already in the courts, and they're going to have to duke it out. So.
One of the things I'm curious on your take. One of the things I get pushed back on my school board is that, this is already in law, it's state, we can't do anything about it. Now, the state is saying no to the federal government, and I know you're not a school board member, so I'm not expecting it, but so what would be wrong with something like this, a resolution or even a policy telling the state you're wrong?
That would be up to the school board. You'd have to write a letter to the Department of Education of California, on behalf
and that's
of
the purpose of this.
If your school board passes this resolution, then you would have to write a letter to the Department of Education on behalf of the Bishop School District, right? Mm-hmm. And give them your opinion. I mean, that's really all you can do because they're going against the feds now with this whole thing.
Right.
So, I mean, I've learned, I'm being there's so many things I could be passionate about with this, but I also know where my power lies and where my power doesn't lie. Mm. I know that there is a certain congressman that I'm going to help vote out because of his beliefs are not in line with mine at all. And he represents my district and your district. And so I'm putting a lot of energy into that. With regards to this, I have an opinion, which I share here, but I'm not going to be vocal about it because I have to pick my battles and what I'm passionate about. And I don't have kids in the district anymore. My kids are in their late 30s, if you can believe it. I have kids, I'm a grandparent. But you have kids still in the district, right? See, I don't. But I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding trans. How old are your kids? Under what age?
They're 17, 14, and 10.
Okay. Hypothetically, what if one of your kids came to you one day and said, I've never felt like I belong in this body? What would you do?
I don't want even hypotheticals. I'd rather stick with facts.
Okay. What if your kid factually came to you and said, Dad, I love you. I love our church. I love our family. And I've never been comfortable in this body ever.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about earlier at our differences of gender affirming care. Let's stick with what's biblical.
But would you support that child of yours?
Yeah, support them in how they were born.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because we could talk quite a bit about, the vulnerability and confusion and just unstableness. I don't know if that's an appropriate word, just of teenagers, preteens and through teenager and even young adulthood. And so they're still figuring out who they are and what they're about. And, they're taking bits and pieces from their parents, from teachers, from friends, from outside sources, and still learning and figuring out who they are. Mm-hmm. So, as a youth, to make those drastic decisions, a 17-year-old can't even buy a lighter. And now they just bumped up tobacco and other use to 21, which I don't even disagree with. I don't care, but it's what's that's showing, continue to show, is that they're developing and they can't even buy spray paint or a lighter. But how can a child make that drastic decision when they're still developing? They can't get a tattoo. You know all this stuff. A lot of the long list of things that a minor cannot do.
I just know from experience, my son was born gay. And when he came out to me at 13, and we all knew, his dad didn't believe it, but the rest of us knew. And when he slipped a 4-page letter under my door and said, I'm so sorry, and he was very emotional. I was like, what's going on with him? I thought, am I going to have to institutionalize him or something? But then he had the light bulb moment, and he slipped the letter under my door, and I read it, and I went to his room. He was crying on his bed. I rubbed his back, and I said, honey, we all know you're gay. We were just waiting for you to, figure it out. And then he got mad because we didn't tell him. I said, it's something that you had to figure out yourself. And there was no big deal. His dad had a little problem with it, but that's why at that time he was my ex-husband. And he's been fine. He doesn't have a relationship with his father because his father never accepted him for who he was. And it's super sad. But he's got a wonderful personality. He's, you know who he is. He's just, he helps so many people, especially those who've been kicked out of their house because their families turned their backs on him. And he is kind, he's respectful, he's compassionate. And I'm so proud of him. And for me, him being born gay was never an issue. His older brother, who was born straight, had a lot of problems and is just now close to 40, figuring it out and turning his life around.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're born straight or, or queer, LGBTQ, if you're compassionate, if you're kind to humans, if you accept everybody for who they are and treat everybody equally, just as Jesus did, treat everybody equally, then those are the kind of people I want to hang out with. Those are the kind of people I want in my life. So.
Closing, Josh?
Josh.
Yeah, I got it. Hot. We turned the heater off turned the cooler off for
I'm a little schwitzy right now, yeah.
So during these discussions, whether it be here on this new show, which I very much appreciate, school board or out in public, or even social media, which I try to avoid any discussion on social media, a lot of folks confuse accountability and disagreement with judgment or persecution, which in my case, and I know there's people out there who do, that's not the case. Just because I don't agree doesn't mean I don't think that they're valuable as a human and who they are and how they were born and where they're at in their life today. There's things that on the table today that we don't agree with at all, some baseline stuff, and there's some stuff we do agree with, which is the idea of the show, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much vitriol online. You could post a picture of a cat and talk about its fur, and someone's going to say something negative.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. So that's the purpose of this, and I think it was a good start.
I think so too. I do think that at some point we should educate ourselves. Of course, we didn't have much time this time,
Right.
but we will educate ourselves in the future. Maybe even come back to this subject with some more factual information from
Yeah, because I
each
want to
side.
talk about twin flames in the Native American community.
Yeah,
next
so
time.
we've got our homework to do.
We
here.
do.
But we thank you for watching Bridge the Divide. Josh Nicholson, I appreciate you
Thank
and
you,
your
sir.
perspective. Stacy Pals, I always appreciate you and your
Thank you, Jason.
perspective.
Thank you, Josh.
I think it quite interesting with definitely having opposing views, but come to an agreement that on Title IX that was quite interesting, and appreciative that's brave.
It is.
Look,
to stand up.
I play pickleball with my husband.
Yeah.
And if he decided he wakes up one day and says, I've always felt like to be a female. I'm like, great, but I'm not playing pickleball with you anymore. Unless we have,
I guess when I say brave is I know the communities and I watch it because I'm in the middle of it with what I do at Sierra Wave, and I know that there's going to be comments underneath this on both parties here, and get ready.
Oh, you know what?
The biggest thing to do is just don't respond.
No, Jason, I'm very, very active on social media, as you know, and I get all sorts of comments from all sorts of people. It's like, whatever.
And it's like you said, you get your hate stuff and you hate stuff, and
Yeah,
it's going to happen with this show, but that is not the point of it. The point of it is to try to find some common ground that we can stand on, and I think we did find a little bit today, and I appreciate both of you for coming out, and I look forward to our next episode.
Thank you.
And we will definitely give a little bit more planning time. And the future of the episodes are going to be, and we didn't have time for this, but I'm explaining to you, the viewer, Sierra Wave Media will come up with a question that we will present to both Josh and to Stacy, and then Stacy will choose a question, and Josh will choose a question, and we'll give everybody about 2 weeks to be able to do some homework on it, so that when we come back to the table, we're a little bit more educated and a little bit more prepared for the subject. So, but thank you guys. I really appreciate
you.
Thank
you.
Jumping in and meeting each other this way.
I invite everybody to come to school board meetings with.
When's your next school board meeting?
The next one's actually next Thursday, but it won't be on the agenda then. So maybe the August one, which I don't know.
You heard it, everybody.
Yeah.
That could be very. Maybe we should go.
Yeah. Email your board.
And then bring it back to the show. Thank you for watching.